Well, the Cross River State chapter of the All Progressives Congress are facing a deepening crisis as internal divisions threaten the party's unity. Factional conflicts, leadership disputes are all creating instability within the opposition party. Now, the crisis involves multiple factions, with some members accusing the current leadership of financial mismanagement and calling for resignations. While party's insiders report that the infighting has reached levels where reconciliation appears increasingly difficult. Well, political analysts warn that these internal conflicts could significantly harm the APC's chances of upcoming elections if not quickly resolved. And the party has struggled to present a unified front in the PDP-dominated state. And I'm now joined by the chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, Cletus Obun, for a chat on the crisis rocking the Cross River APC and the likely impact on the 2027 elections. It's great to have you join the program. Always good to have you here on Newsday.
Thanks for having me on this day.
Well, the crisis rocking the Cross River State APC, is this a genuine split? Is it a leadership tussle? Is it ideological issues? Is it fight for the control of party structure? What exactly is the genesis of this crisis?
Well, I think mutual suspicion is the first word I would say, but to call it a crisis is a shift of paradigm that Cross Riverians are about to experience, because coming to have APC at this point since Governor Yade left office or joined the party in 2021, it has been a makeshift arrangement and a lot of ground shifting and a lot of adjustments and a lot of alignments and realignments for the soul of the party. The fortune is that with the governor of Cross River State now, Prince Otu, the party leadership tussle is about the foundation members, that is, those you call the legacy parties under the APC constitution. That is to say, those who formed the APC in 2013-2014, the conglomeration and the congregation of ACN, AMPP, and others that came into the formation of the party, and those who joined thereafter, especially after winning the 2015 elections. This is all that is happening there. Those who are foundation members insist that they have been marginalized, especially since the coming in of new members after the elections in 2015 and especially after 2019. That is the crux of the matter. Anybody pretending otherwise, talking about ideology, is saying nothing. What the foundation members are insisting on is that in the build-up to the 2023 elections, almost all the party positions in terms of party offices, elective offices, and appointments neglected, rejected, and contemptuously treated the foundation members that were on ground when the party moved to the hands of a sitting governor. This is precisely where the crux is. Like I said, there is the fortune that Prince Otu is a member of that foundation and therefore is trying to rearrange and realign the positions such that the conflict will be reduced. And that is why it is important to note that the crisis will be easy to resolve once those sharp corners, that suspicion, is brought under control by the governor, who must now intervene rather than leave it to political jobbers and those who are in the party for just the purpose of what they can get and not to build a democracy that brings about development. So developmental politics is what the governor stands for, what all of us stand for, and which must be adjusted, because the issue of tickets and no tickets for parliamentary positions and executive positions in local governments and other such things are going to be the crux of the matter. And that's what the adjustment is all about. That is what the shifting is all about. And that is what the tremor is all about. It is about who holds what, when, and how. In the next congresses that will produce the ward local government and state executives, who will be at the national executive of the party to keep the party representation, and who is going to go to the National Assembly and who is going to go to the State Assembly. That is what is on. And the beginning is about the party structure from the ward executive to the chapters. And then that produces the candidates during the 2026 conventions that will bring the state leadership in terms of elective offices. So if that is grossly and neglected, it will definitely visibly and reasonably shake the party. But like I said, I have confidence that the governor knows what that means because he has suffered it, he has gone through it, so there's nothing you are going to tell him. And with some of us sitting with him, I think that can easily be resolved. But presently, those who think that they came in here to do political job and to get position for position's sake without performance are the ones who are presently trying to adjust and shake and rock the boat. But I think that will not last, and that will not be allowed to stay, because we believe that those who founded the party are not going to allow the party split on account of people's personal ambitions, and that would distract us from the developmental strides that the government is presently undergoing, especially after just taking over from AMCON, the TINAPA, after just possessing two aircrafts, and after trying to revamp the Obun cattle ranch. I'm not sure that the governor is ready to allow the distractions about party positions rock the boat of the party in Cross River State as at today. So clearly, there is a shake-up. That shake-up is about the legacy members trying to take back positions. And this is not just about Cross River. If you check across the country, that's what is happening at the national level, even at the national level. Most foundation members feel that they have been marginalized and set by the edges, and they are spectators in a game in which they ought to be active players. And that is where we are now. And I suspect that that will have to be adjusted, not just in Cross River, but across the country. Because as I speak to you, I'm familiar with what is happening in most of the states, where governors decamp to APC and believe that those who are sitting there have become their errand boys, and then they start talking about leadership. Leadership is not by proclamation, it is by performance. And I think that is going to be adjusted, because as a progressive party, we shouldn't be seen to be pretending and giving lip service to the idea of progressive politics, which takes along every member and every facet.
Fair enough, Cletus. And we all know that grassroots structure is crucial for any election and any party in politics. So I'm wondering how this crisis on the state level has affected the APC leadership, the cohesion at the local government, and also the ward levels across the 3 senatorial districts.
Yes, you can see some chairmen, local government chairmen, some have been suspended, some were almost being suspended, others are under pressure. These are all tendencies that are allowed in the democracy. And like I said, because of the various tendencies that have come together so suddenly, yoked together, there definitely must be these tremors. But definitely there will be no implosion, there will be no explosion, because I'm very certain that the leadership will not allow that to happen. The reason is simple, that those who feel that they should have been in positions and are not there would definitely want to shake up the system in order to be recognized and given space to operate, while others are palpably sure that some people are in positions that are clearly bigger than them and there's no performance. There are commissioners in the state, there are State House of Assembly members, there are National Assembly members, who most people in Cross River State believe that have underperformed and should be taken out of position. But they should be patient enough to know that it is at the end of the day that we can take that judgment. For now, we must settle down to development and do development. By 2026, the middle of 2026, we can start discussing party politics about who gets what position. I think it is too early, and I think that what is happening across the state about the APC is about adjustments and inclusion and inclusivity of those who feel that they have. You cannot tell me that those who founded the party for which you come to join are suddenly so incompetent. Yet, in the osmotic theory, it is weaker solutions that are absorbed by the stronger solutions. So if you came to join APC, it means that APC was strong enough for you to come and join, whether at the state or at the national level. You cannot then wish it away with a wave of the hand. It's not a magic wand. So you cannot then undermine and conjure those who have been in the party into invisibility on account of your present status or on account of what you had before. You cannot be a superintendent of Assemblies of God and want to live into the Catholic Church and be pronounced a bishop. It doesn't work that way. There must be a synchronization. There must be a systematic absorption. And that is what I normally will call political quarantine. Because you are not familiar with the ideological standpoint of the APC, you coming in here, you should be humble enough to learn and not behave like a conqueror. A conqueror does not move base. Once you shift base, you should be able to surrender to some degree, with some level of political humility, that you have been a conquered person and you have accepted to be absorbed into a new system. To learn that system requires humility, requires urbanity, intellectual urbanity, for you to be able to be absorbed and to be accepted. But to come in with gusto and walk through the door roughshod as if there was nobody sitting there is what will be resisted. And that's the resistance that you have seen starting now. And I believe that quarantine period for people to learn that APC is not where you come to jump fences and jump the queue, and that you must have to learn the lessons of life, is what those who are joining the APC as newcomers and as members. Yes, we will accept you. Yes, your position is guaranteed, but you should do that with humility and recognize that people have labored here and therefore deserve to be rewarded or compensated, whichever one comes first, depending on the situation and the person you are using. That does not mean that we should accept people who cannot perform and who have no capacity to perform just simply because they were there in the party before. You must know the level to which you can perform. You must know your status and know your capacity. That is humility. That is realism, and we cannot jump that, and we cannot avoid that. We will not accept that people who are not competent should be brought in simply because they were in the party before. But there are also no reason to believe that there are no competent persons to occupy positions. This is what we are about to do, to lay that balance and therefore give an equilibrium in which there's an acceptance and there's a shifting of ground and there's a give and take.
For the sake of time, allow me to interrupt you. Allow me to interrupt you. You're very right. Very apt. Osmotic theory and political humility for the individuals who want to enter the APC. But given that the APC controls the state executive, I know you touched on this a little bit earlier on in the discussion. How significant is this internal brouhaha crisis distracting or even paralyzing the Otu administration? Is there a slowdown in policy making, policy implementation due to this infighting in the party?
No. These are just like, it's a storm in the teacup when it comes to the party and the governance. The governance structure is solid. You can see the governor marching with all gusto, with all energy, with all vibrancy, and building an economy that will be an envy of Nigeria, because Cross River is so blessed with natural resources, and there is now an economist who is sitting in government with experience in the legislature as a federal house member, as a senator, and now as a governor. So all that you need to make the potpourri of a complete meal, a balanced diet, is happening to Cross River State. And I think that is why Cross Riverians keep singing the Sweet Prince. It is not because he is sweet in providing for just everything, but because he's setting up a structure in which Nigerians and Cross Riverians will see a future in Cross River State. The economy is balancing out. Aviation, road infrastructure, and all that. Yes, it's overwhelming. For example, you cannot talk about it without talking about the Ikom Obudu Road. But when you look at the Ikom Kasinala Road, you can see that he has touched it within 24 months. He still has another 24 months to go. Therefore, maybe 17 or 18 months to go. I think that even the Ikom Obudu Road, which is a federal road, all these roads we are talking about are federal roads that are becoming arteries of distortion and disruption. So the governance structure is solidly in place because the governor is focused. The State House of Assembly is giving the necessary backup, even though at a very weak level. But we still have commissioners, some commissioners who are also building up and giving capacity to the governor. We also have state actors and non-actors who are giving the governor cooperation, because everybody, only recently he brought all former governors, even of PDP extraction. Note that Cross River has been totally PDP. But now that we started with Ayade bringing us into APC, bringing APC into joining the APC, and this governor winning under APC, you are seeing progressivism developmentally getting on. So I don't think governance is at any word interrupted. But it can become a distraction when the governor has to go and be sitting over reconciliation meetings, when he should be sitting over meetings of development and infrastructure building. So that is where we are. I think that we are good to go with the governor of Cross River today and with governance in Cross River State.
Well, there we have it. Thank you so much for joining us here on Newsday, Honorable Cletus Obun, APC Chieftain.